This is my German theme park, high budget and very nicely themed. Well, it is beautiful, but it has a major flaw, and you can see this in the central spine of the park. The pathways and everything is just not really suiting the demand of the park. Hence, we're going to change massively today, and we're bringing in one of the brand new rides, the wonderful Narrow Drop. We also built a pretty new area called Breisgau, more about that during the episode, and we are fixing a lot of issues. So stay tuned for an episode packed, actually really packed, with a lot of footage, a lot of cool architectural things, and just a good vibe. So let's get into it. And with that, welcome to this episode. It's going to be massive, as you can see from the timing already, but I will have a little bit of a part in between where you have some music, the brand new music from the brand new small town set, and we are going to also enjoy a lot of talks about this area. But first things first, we are building the coaster, the B&M Narrow Drop Coaster. It's the small variant, the one that also features on Baron. And yeah, I do agree that Frontier needs to fix a couple of things. I have read into all of your comments, and you're rightfully saying there is a bit of an issue with the way how the drop works and where the coaster car stalls and, you know, all these kind of things. Nevertheless, I am building a layout that I'm really happy with at the end of the day. It's a pretty classic short layout. It's nothing super long. I'm also very confused about the in-game blueprint we get with that ride. It, in my opinion, is a lot too long. But in any case, I don't think this should matter too much for us in today's episode, because I'm going with a, as I said, pretty classic in and out layout. You know, we go into a drop, then we go into a first kind of zero-G roll, and then we go over into yet another. It's not really a corkscrew. It's like another roll that ends up going into a left-hander, and that's actually about it. You know, that left-hander then ends up into a relatively high-banked and tight right-hander to get a bit of forces in from the remaining speed and pace we have, and then that already curls back into the station. I will do a bit of shaping work here and there. You know, that the final layout today, you'll get an on-ride at the end, but it's not the final one. I have to kind of fix a couple of edges here and there, and want to make some of the areas a bit more snappy. But at this point, again, I want to thank Frontier for the new coaster builder. Or actually, it's not new, is it? But it's majorly improved. We have so many cool smoothing options now, and I remember that I wanted to get a lot better at coaster building, and I think I have improved over all these years massively, especially thanks to watching Sylv and all others and trying to also get all this feedback in. I do explain that while I'm doing a bit of path work in the background. I left that in to showcase a couple of things I did over here with the pathing. It's been a pain to do, but it's absolutely worth it. You'll see that later on in the in-game part when we do a little meander through that area. You can see there are subtle inclines and declines and height changes and elevations, and this is specifically important if you want to make an area look interesting. I'll get to that when we are in-game. But back to coaster building itself. I wanted to get better, but I ended my journey when it was about to be necessary to go into the 4-meter method. For those of you who don't know about the 4-meter method, first of all, you're lucky ones. But second of all, just to explain what that was. In the first game, the smoothing wasn't as good as it is in Planet Coaster 2. And so there was only one very specific method to get a rather smooth coaster. Fun fact, you were still not able to do a coaster as smooth as you could do relatively simple in Planet Coaster 2. It was still rough around some edges, and some shapes, no matter what you did, couldn't work. There was a mod that, you know, reduced the smallest amount of pieces down to, I think it was 2 or even 1 meter, and the 1-meter method then was actually as smooth as you could get it. But with the 4-meter method, what you did is that you build your coaster in only steps of 4 meter, and you would always completely exaggerate your layout and your shaping. You would always go way beyond what you would really do. And then you would always grab, I believe it was 4 pieces, and then you smooth it once, you go once forward, you smooth it again, and you do the same thing. Not only has Frontier implemented that automatic forth and back with an actual in-game option, that is smoothing forward and backwards, is basically what was done back in the day. I believe there was even a mod that kind of fixed this issue. Or not a mod, I think people were even doing some, what was that, shortcuts on their mouse or little scripts that basically did the work for them. But it was incredibly tedious and time consuming. And to do a good layout, it took you 2 to 3 hours easily. And that was when you were experienced, and this is where I just stepped out of it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to build coasters as good as I can, and I don't really care too much about it. But now we are back in my journey, and as we have all these beautiful tools, I'm now willing to improve yet again, especially at shaping. There are a couple of things here and there I have to get used to. I know there is a difference in this game how you smooth certain areas. So for most parts, you can use the in-game smoothing forwards, backwards, but and I'm always using like 2 pieces at a time. But especially for like rolls and stuff like that, you shouldn't do that, because if you do this, your shaping will completely be gone. I think there's a better way of just selecting the entire roll you have and then reduce the the hardness or the intensity of the smoothing, and this mostly works. However, this is time to speak about what I envision for this area. So I said it's inspired by Breisgau. To be more specific, this is going to be very much inspired by Freiburg. Freiburg is a very beautiful city. If you've ever the chance to go there, do it. It's a very old town-esque German city, very classical, absolutely Black Forest area. It's got a lot of history. It's got a lot of very beautiful buildings, mid-century. Like, it's a lot of great architectural styles you can find there over all these years. There are a lot of historical buildings that remained, especially during World War II, which unfortunately for the majority of Germany doesn't count. Like, there's a lot of great cities in Germany that used to be looking incredibly nice, but due to World War II, we lost all that, like, architectural history, I should say. But Freiburg and the Breisgau itself, there's a lot still to love in there. And I did pair the architecture with a lot of things. Now, I wanted to quickly give a shout out to Mr. Fogg. In case you don't know who Fogg is also a very nice creator for Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster and whatnot, mostly Planet Coaster though. And he's got a very interesting approach. He's got a very artistic, almost like cinematic-esque approach to his videos. But he also lately talked about the idea of paletting. And that is basically when you're a painter. You have a palette of colors that you reserve, that you're using most of the times. What you do is you put a lot of colors on that palette, and then you're about to use these things the whole time. Now, as this is really working well as for painting or also building Lego, you can do the same. In this game by just using a lot of pieces. And this is what you can see over here. I'm also not only using paletting as a technique over here, I'm also a template. I'm doing templating here. I'm not sure, is that even a word, templating? Whatever. What I'm doing is I'm using the pieces to build a super high detail facade over here, and I'm using the grid to my advantage here. I'm using the grid in order to ensure that I can easily copy things around and they are perfectly aligned later on. You can see I'm building one of the fronts you've seen in the intro briefly, and we're having 2 buildings. The second building is not featured as much in this video, but that is mostly due to the fact that I wanted to give you a bit of a nice reveal later on. So you have to stick with me, upping the numbers here on YouTube and also upping the curiosity for you. Let me just tell you, I'm so proud of this build. It took way longer than I wanted. I wanted to prepare a lot more for the holidays. I unfortunately need to scrap a couple of videos I had planned because I just can't get them done. But it took me about 20 hours. What you're seeing in today's episode is worth the work of 20 hours plus another, I think, 2 hours of stream that we lost, plus another 2 hours of redoing the pathway that I didn't even bother to record because that was just way too painful. And I knew that already happening. And that goes to say, it's not because of the pathing tool not working. It was really, I wanted to make this work this time around. I'm going to tell you and show you in the real time. Anyways, the big advantage of using paletting and of using this kind of idea of a template is that you remain a huge accuracy in what you want to do, and also a coherency in your colors, in your build. There's a couple of issues in Planet Coaster 2. I'll talk about that later in today's video when we had our little break of nice music for you to enjoy, because I need to talk about that. I sent a long mail to Frontier. Hopefully they will read that, with a lot of quality of life updates. It's mainly about how the game retains color options and stuff. But yeah, I'll talk about that. In any case, we are about to go into our little Rudy talkie break, and you guys have the new music to enjoy while we build a lot of the station, a lot of the details. We're going to talk about that in the real-time part. But now I'm going to hand you over into the musical, wonderful part of the DLC. So enjoy that and see you in a couple of minutes.
head on the roof as she drops in 10. Who cat, who line and saddle, I low and proud to summer truck. I dance a tailor, go to models and love. A tree love and I roll love. And back the other cat, the other now. I'm down on my block, come on, Rudy. Load it up, let's head down your way. Until I'm dead, it's coming, seven to me. No more rap, who's up, run away. One less show. Who flew by, who
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that vibe. Now you got to deal with my voice again and some more chilly music in the background. We are building the second building right now. This is going to become a restaurant. I think at this point I have to talk a lot more about the area here. So Breisgau is, or Freiburg you could say, but it's more like Breisgau because we will have a bit more of a natural area on the other hand side here, which is where already the kiddie coaster is, and where there is a region where we did a bit of a tutorial. I'm going to talk about that in the real-time part. It's easy to see. It's really good. But this one over here is going to become a restaurant. It's a raised restaurant, and the idea is that in the restaurant itself, we don't really have a restaurant in that area here, so we need a facility also to make people enjoy that and go here. We will have some restrooms also hidden in here, but we will also imply a couple of things. So for example, a first aid area is going to be in here, as well as some backstage management that is going to be connected through that little mountain we have to the side of it. This piece over here, one of these arcers, I don't know how you call that, but oh my god, that is such a beautiful piece because it has translucent windows. I think everyone already went nuts about that, but I personally loved the fact that we have them. I wish to have more of these pieces, or I have, you know, maybe we have the choice to select whether they want to be translucent or even not, but like we need more of these pieces because that actually takes away a lot of the struggle to build custom windows, which I usually do quite a lot and it takes a lot of time. But oh man, that is just such a beautiful piece. In general, the quality of this pack, of the Small Town pack from the new Parades DLC, is beyond anything I've seen before. There are like so many incredible versatile pieces in here. I'm literally going crazy. It's just so good. And I must also admit that the entirety of the build was just super enjoyable. I just couldn't stop building because so many good pieces paired also with the float pieces. And over here you can see I'm doing another template. However, in this specific case, I didn't use the grid to my advantage, which I did on purpose because I wanted to be able to easily rotate that around inside of a building to just change a couple of things. And instead of trying to align with the path, I just aligned the path to, well, the building. That just makes a lot more sense. That's where the pathing tool actually shines. But we have a challenge because on the opposite side of the Breisgau, there is our Art Deco area, our Googie area. And I've had a lot of comments like how I will pull this off, how this is going to fit in this park. And now I can finally reveal the story. I somewhat, like to 80% or so, I had this story already in my mind the whole time. And I was very curious to see how that pans out in the future. And I'm very glad that we got a DLC like that because I just waited for that moment to see when we can fill in that gap over here. Now, the idea is that this is an area of the park, the Googie area, I mean, that has been installed as very much the most modern part of it. And it's been something that has been decided upon when this park already exists for a long time. And for the majority of this time, the park went with like classical theme park approaches, you know? And this area specifically over here used to being the end of the park, hence also that kind of very enclosed area with the narrow drop beginning. And that was actually, previously, it was a second entrance to the park where like there was a huge parking lot, at least in my mind. And then they, at some point, have taken the parking lot and kind of installed a brand new Googie area over there, which we've done with the Toy Box DLC. And I'm still willing to continue on that one. I have a lot of great ideas. We will actually put a single rail coaster in there because I just think the single rail coaster would be so fitting for the Googie theme as well. But I wanted to have a very natural transition over, and I'm doing one of the few very nice tricks I know from Phantasialand, how they separate areas from each other. They also have these like tunnels going through facilities and facilities sharing the same main building, yet both of the sides are like pretty different. This is, by the way, over here the lowered area, which is exactly what I meant. This is where the first aid and a backstage area will be, as an implied area, will be coming in. I have the idea to maybe put a event point in there so that people actually go there and grab some bandages or so, like, you know, as if there is like a bit of a backstage area. Not 100%. If you guys have better ideas what to do with this area, let me know. Also, I used another very nice trick to use path as roofs. I've shown this on Livestream. Fork has also done this. Not only does it save an incredible amount of pieces, it also is working surprisingly well for most parts, and you can even do some very cool like tilted roofs and stuff if you get creative with the path tool. But also the in-game tilted roofs now are much better. Putting a couple more details here and there, you can see the building is becoming super nice looking. But at this point I don't want to spoil too much, so let's hop into the park and have a look. So here we are in game. We can see the coaster just drop it in. Where is it coming out? There you go, into the roll. See that go into that corner, nicely overbanked. Pacing is quite okay. Then we go in here, wonderfully roll in, just stalling a little bit, and then up we go into here and around that corner. That's about it. That's about the layout already, but you can already see in that view over here where this whole park is going for. Oh my god, it's looking so good. I did use a couple of graphic settings here from the wonderful Sky Studio mod. I have, worked in that a bit more, and I think I found finally the perfect one. I will put this up for members. I thought lately I will put up my Sky Studio settings for you guys members, and then you can have that there where the way it's going in. It actually comes out the station relatively quickly to go through that little layout here in the front. But yeah, this is the area we are looking at right now, is basically this wonderful entrance. This is what I said. This is where the area here originally used to be ending. You know, you can see also there's a lot of backstage here, which you don't see because there's 2 other facades coming to join that party. Next episode is going to be featured with basically the rest of the area. It's going to be very cool. This family dipper over here, it all suits this area so well. We are going to, as I said, this is by the way what I meant. Look at all the subtle height differences. Don't mind all the crap lying around over here. But if we come from this area over here, by the way, I love that. This is, the one thing we built at the beginning, and I mean, Frontier has improved some clarity of the games. That's not about me, it's not about the studio itself. The clarity of the pieces and the structure and everything you can see right now on screen is definitely Frontier's work, and they didn't have that in the changelog, but I just color corrected certain things. But oh my god, the sharpness and stuff has actually improved so dramatically. It looks so good, and we don't really have that aggressive popping of colors anymore, shadows anymore, which is really good. At least not of the in the first person view. But yeah, if you come around that corner, you can see all these subtle changes, which makes this area so much more interesting to play around with. You can see most of the things actually turn out to be super nice and subtle. You can see also going around here that corner. This is, by the way, the exit. You go up here. This is where you enter the exit area. There's already, I started dressing this up quite a bit here. It's not perfect yet, but I will actually have another door also from this side and make that look nice. And then you go around that corner, and over here we have the queue. You will be able to enter the queue here and have some sight on it. And this will be some advertisements, which is going to be something I'm going to ask you for in today's episode. This is going to be crazy. I want to do this a lot more often, so hopefully you guys are in for it. So we've got 2 different advertising boards over here. So now grab your screenshot abilities and snap some shots here from this area and create me some ads. And I'm gonna, the 2 best ones I'm gonna pick and put them in, hopefully before my holidays. I'm being on holiday coming Friday, the 4th or 3rd of July. This is where I go on holiday, and if you get this delivered to me beforehand, but I don't think that the next episode is going to be ready. But anyways, after that, I'm going to bring this in. So that would be lovely if you could give me some stuff. Also, what you may see is I have added a lot of details. I sent Sylph a picture of that area, and he said, oh man, you got to add some more like shingles and details and ornaments and stuff. And so I did, and I think it turned out absolutely fantastic looking. So there goes that coaster again. I also have the Breisgau-Blitz, which is the name. I wish to make this eventually also a 3D font, but I need too much scaling for that. And I wish also to have all the fonts that we have as actual fonts as 3D fonts too, but I think that's going to be hard. But yeah, this is the restaurant up there. We can actually go there. So there is a way. Oops, what the heck? What the heck is happening here? Okay, something about this corner is broken. I gotta fix that eventually. But yeah, if we go over here around that family dipper, where we have some little fences going on eventually, then we come up here. There is a elevator. I made a custom elevator, which is that case over here, that side over here, and it's from the opposite down here. But this is already in the Art Deco look, and that one is more in the Breisgau look, which I love. And this side is going to be like a little bridge that you can look into both sides, you know. There will be, the counter for the restaurant will somehow be introduced over here, I guess. And then this is where you can enjoy the restaurant, but also have some really cool views into the different areas, you know. That is so good. Actually, you know what? I can give you already a screenshot area from over here. Maybe you want to do something as an advertisement for the restaurant. So I'm going to give you some different views here for the restaurant. Some of those that are already finished, because most of them obviously are not finished. So just something like that is good. I'm trying to think for you guys what you could snap here, you know. But this is the area, and I like the fact that you can also just use that window to look outside of the window and see that massive station, which I think looks beautiful. And then this is going to be another building here, which is going to have some restrooms to the side, and then a direct connection to this backstage lot. And so I have finally connected the major spine of the park, and I'm going to show you from above in a bit. But yeah, this is the section we are at, and you know, looking at this part over here, I can't tell you how proud I am of this. Yeah, I needed to shift the buildings quite a lot of times until I was happy. But like this view over here is just incredible. You know, that view is legit crazy. I'm so happy with all of that, how it turned out. And ooh, what's that? Oh, there is a parade test going on. This is the sound. I wonder if this is broken, because that is just way too loud, is it? Yeah, but this is that. And then you can actually go down here. Wonder why this is so broken here with the whatever. So yeah, this is the area. Let's actually go above, and I'm just gonna pause the game because that fireworks sound is annoying me quite a bit. So we have this area now. As you can see, the main spine over here changed dramatically. I have opened up the entire pathway completely. Got rid of some of the itches we had here about this area, and it's way wider now. We've got a lot of water ditch down here, which I'm gonna theme up and dress up a bit nicer eventually. And then this is the whole area, and next time around, as I said, we're going to dress this up. We're going to make this area a lot more interactive. I've got some really cool ideas about that. We're gonna have some little kiosk stands and whatnot in here where you can grab some drinks if you don't want to go there. We've got some vending machines in the middle, got some seating options. We are going to have some interactive event points here. For those of you who've been in stream, they know exactly what's coming. So this is going to be introduced, and we're going to have a souvenir shop somewhere around here. I believe it's going to be more up here because that is going to be part of the rework. You know, this is going to be buildings up until here. This is going to be nature, and then we're going to open up this area here next, which is going to be a couple rides and making this lakefront look a bit nicer. And you know, eventually we have to talk about that bit. If you haven't seen that yet on the episodes, this is why this is all done on live streams. It's looking fantastic, but it's not suiting the current moment. So we're getting back at this as soon as it's ready. Maybe I'll make an episode about that though, just for the time being, as like a little, you know, point in, so we have that done. But yeah, I just adore how this is all changed. And now also for the logic of the park, we finally made sense, because this area over here, like in case you want to have any deliveries or so, previously you wouldn't be able to bring any kind of goods over here. Now this is way big enough to have some, you know, carts or golf carts and so on go on over here. And this area with the backstage can now be properly connected as well, with a little tunnel going in here. Could be connected to the outside world, but there is again big enough areas that support a little support way. If we have a connection to the road over here, you can easily access this area and bring stuff into the backstage area. I will need to have an entrance to the backstage area, which potentially is going to be right below here. So that is going to get a huge garage door of some sort, and this is then where they can bring goods in. At least in my opinion, that's how it should work. So to finally have this actual backstage area connected. Anyways, that should be enough for today's episode. More than enough, by the way. This is the side I made over here. I will change this slide a little bit, but it's getting where it needs to go. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed this, how it's looking. So hopefully you guys do too. And now this is it. Let's wrap up the episode for now, and let's see each other in the next episode coming. There's a lot coming in the coming days, and I have hopefully enough content for you during my absence in holidays, because I really need holidays. So you can help me by clicking the video, liking the video, sending this to friends if you think that's helpful. The more single videos do, the less I need to do on the amount of videos, which would be great and appreciated. And in case you don't have the DLC yet, or you're lacking in any other DLCs, make sure to use my instant gaming link, because that one is going to actually give you discount not only on the current one but also on the future DLCs, which hopefully will be beneficial for you guys. So that would help me out tremendously, helps you out, and we will have some cool stuff to talk about in the future when you also know about the DLCs. How cool is that? Anyways, have a good time, and just have one final look at this incredible new area called the Breisgau. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for your advertisements, by the way. I hope I gave you enough photos to be taken. I can also give you one last. I'm just gonna give you one last shot I was thinking about the whole time. Just gonna wait until it's... Wait, there you go. And if we just have that like so... I'm not sure if that's good enough, but like I can also... Yeah, you're gonna look at this one from above. Oh, that one is that's a really cool angle as well. See that building here and the exit. Yeah, anyways, I'm rambling. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I talk to you in the next one.